Everybody have a chance to look at the agenda? You make a motion to approve it?
I would like to request removal of action item number, gotta look it up here. Number three, Finance Committee hasn't had a chance to meet with Attorney Sam. So he had some requested that we hold off till we get a chance to get his information. So I'd like to remove that.
Yeah, we're having a finance meeting Dewey next Tuesday morning when we have the workshop down at the highway department at 8:30. We're gonna have a finance meeting down there. But you're gonna be in Florida, so we're gonna try to hook you up on Zoom.
Try and hook up on Zoom, yeah.
Is that all right?
That'll probably work her out. 8:30.
Yep. We'll have a workshop right after and
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the notation of removing item number 3 from the action item.
Second.
there's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda and action with the number three taken out. All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Carries. Got a motion to approve the previous minutes from the board meeting February 1.
I'll make a motion to approve the previous minutes.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Public comment. There's probably
Mhm.
We gotta wait a second. I think we're gonna have, any, so we'll move on. We have no appointments. All right, consent agenda. Everybody feel comfortable with approving that?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Most of it's pretty routine business.
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion?
I will make a notation that I had some questions with regard to a couple of the contracts and the pay schedules and whatnot. We had our community services meeting prior to this meeting, community services committee meeting. And I got my questions answered about how those pay schedules work.
So you're okay then with this?
So I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right, we had a motion, didn't we? And a
Yep,
second.
a second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. So we're moving on to action items. Consider approving the equipment purchase for an excavator and 2 ditch mowers from Bobcat of Rochester and Hummel Equipment. Brian. He's not here.
No,
Well, he
he's-
was here.
He was
In the
in
building.
our land use meeting. He
Okay.
should be there. He talked about it at our land use committee meeting.
That's a
There you
mini
go.
excavator.
A large one.
A large
Large
mini,
mini.
one of those Bobcat things.
Yep.
Morning, Brad.
There he is.
We're pushing you, bud.
I was looking at some of those add-ons. The trade-in pays for the add-ons.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, the attachments are always a lot of money.
Oh, specialty things, okay. Guess we'll listen here.
I told him up for number 1, so that's why I'm up right away.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so the first item will be to requesting approval of an excavator and 2 ditch mowers. The excavator has a total cost of $177,161.20 with a $45,000 trade-in value to have a grand total net cost of $132,161.20. Budgeted amount was $125,000, so it is $7,161.20 over our budget. However, when I look at our equipment budget as a whole, we are at or slightly under our original 2022 budget. The mowers, two mowers for the mowing the ditches, $23,575, trade-in value of $7,700 for a net of $15,875. Budgeted on that was $13,000, so this is another area where we're over by $2,875. But like I said, overall as a net, we are still on budget.
Oh, the excavator was a state bid,
So yes, on the excavator, yes, yep, they're both. I was gonna say it
But
was
not
Iowa
the
State bid,
mowers.
but no, it is Minnesota State bid, so
but not the mowers though.
not the mowers. No.
Yeah. I know you said that it went through Fargo.
So the state bid for Bobcat goes through, yes, West Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah, that's
They
where
are
they're
the
built.
state contract holder, and then they work with the dealership that we go through, which in this case ultimately ended up being through Stewartville. So it's ordered through Fargo, the unit goes down to Stewartville, and then that's where we pick it up from.
I think this is a good move to get this machine versus the tractor loader backhoe. It'd be a lot more efficient and something better use. The only thing I would wish it would have came through is Dresbach instead of Rochester, but I think that's a company thing where whatever, for whatever reason, they went to Rochester.
Couple questions.
Sure.
The two mowers, are they the same kind of mower?
Yes, yep, they're, yep, a 3-point, they're pretty much the same mower that, we trade them in every, 3 years, I believe. And they're, we just keep rotating them through,
And we needed two. I
Yep.
mean, we can't get by with one.
yes.
Second question, we were given our ARPA sheets here. On highway, we have equipment of $274,000 out of ARPA that was earmarked out of the lost revenue. Is part of that?
I don't
That wasn't
know
all
how-
equipment though.
Yeah, I don't know how the ARPA money.
So
ultimately would
equipment,
be.
274,000.
No, bridge maintenance, seal coat, we're
I'm just
50.
looking at the 274.
Yeah, so
I thought that was the add-in for all that.
No, that's just equipment.
I guess that might be a question we have with Carol.
Those are the numbers that you gave us.
Yeah, so, but whether we officially have that come out of ARPA money or if have ARPA money be used toward a road maintenance project.
I mean, we had, what we got here is the John Deere loader at 132,234. That's the one that we already bought. Then we had bridge maintenance of 50,000, seal coat 70,000, and equipment of 274,000. Did you want to take and change the equipment to maintenance instead?
So,
I think
We haven't done it. I'm just asking if these qualify for that.
so for capitalizing for the costs and everything, do you get into any issues with equipment coming out of ARPA? I know we got some money that came through the state. They said, you know, if equipment is purchased using that money, then we.
It affects the rental rates that we can charge back to the roads if we say we're using federal equipment. So that was something we were gonna need to discuss when we look at the whole ARPA. I mean, you know, none of these are really set in stone.
Oh, no, this is what we originally-
everything that we ever came up with, and those were the numbers that you had originally given Bob regarding how it did come up with Sheila because she was at some kind of a seminar and be cautious when you're applying into equipment.
And that makes, and I agree with that because that makes me nervous when you buy iron with federal funds. It's always frowned upon. I know with FEMA and everything else, so.
So we can definitely look at that as, you know, lost revenue or lost, you know, on.
We would just
And
allocate it
expense,
to a
but-
project
If
rather than
if
to
it,
equipment.
yeah, if you allocate it to a $400,000 seal coating project, then you don't need to worry about how the capitalization of that equipment goes. Which might be a better way of.
That's the only reason I wanted to ask, because I knew there was some issue as far as equipment.
Eliminate the red flags.
Okay.
But the action item today is, it's under a budgeted item, so.
All right.
I make a
More
motion,
discussion?
we approve the purchase of the excavator and 2 ditch mowers.
Second,
A motion and a second to approve the equipment purchases. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it carries. You're up again, Brian. Bid for blacktop, Dunn Blacktopping Company in the amount of $3,445,259.25. Boy.
Got that extra quarter in there.
Jeez. Really putting the pressure on me, big boy. Holy moly.
Yeah, so this is a big dollar amount item. It's repaving on 3 roadways. It is County 1 going from Trunk Highway 76 down to Beaver Creek State Park or Beaver Valley State Park. The last 2 miles of County State Highway 4 going down to the Iowa state line, and County State Highway 10 going from Trunk Highway 76 down to Sheldon area for the portion of the roadway that was not repaved here a few years ago. So
That, what portion was not repaved on that?
the upper portion, the Caledonia end of where 10
Oh,
meets
okay.
76 down. So I believe it's about 4 miles.
That's what,
4
okay,
miles
that
away.
part you're talking about.
Yeah, go down through that
I'm
section.
thinking of 76 in Houston. You're
Yes.
talking up on the top.
Right.
Down, okay.
From the top down.
You gonna do that little bridge before you do all this nice blacktopping or?
No, so that'll be done later when it's eligible for replacement. And we did look at, can we, delay this paving and do the bridge first, just timing of how everything is with condition is better, just do the paving. And one of the big reasons why that with paving too is that they're going to be set up probably in January quarry. That is where I've been told from Dunn that they plan on setting up. So that plant is right here. We're up to 10. It makes more sense to do it now rather than hold off and try to truck that asphalt from or across at a later date. So
It needs to be done.
Trucking has gotten crazy as far as the costs, so.
yeah,
put
so
some save on it.
after these bids came in, I did delay bringing this to the board today for, I put in a request from the state to get additional money for the overage amount of the estimate for CASA 1. That portion goes to a state park. So because of that, it's eligible for state park road account money. So I put in a request, had several phone calls, ultimately was able to get the full amount between the difference of the original estimate and the bid amount on County State Highway 1. So we got an additional 96,000, I believe, roughly on County 1. So about half the County 1 project is being paid for with state park road account money. The other half be our county state aid money. The other 2 road projects will both be county state aid money. So there is no local cost other than our own inspection time and testing. So
How to show up as far as budget?
so budget wise as a whole, when I look at where our state aid account is right now, we are about 100,000 over our allotted state aid amount. So I have 2 options. One is that we're going to look to see what happens when the bid results come back on a small bridge replacement on County 12 to see how our budget lines up with that. And then we can either advance money from 2023, of which we're going to be under our, look at the next 4 years, we're still under, we're not going to be deemed to advance in those years. So we can look at either advancing money, delaying that County 12 project, or timing wise, if we have 5% money being withheld for retainage because we don't get all the paperwork done in time, we might get that 2023 money before we make that final payment, and we don't even go on the fund balance anyway. So we're still looking at overall, we're
Any more questions?
and I will mention that all the counties that are in their area, they're bidding out paving jobs. They're also in the same issue with the prices. It's not like we got a high bid that they're all seeing less. It's just cost of doing business this year.
Yeah.
What's the time frame on number 4? When do you think that'll be done?
They're telling me they'd like to get in late June or early July for a start and getting all the work done in July and August. So I don't know which roadway they're going to do first, second, and third. But July and August would be the primary months of
Okay.
work.
Doesn't affect
Anticipated
harvest.
at this point. that
No,
can
it
always
doesn't
change.
affect our, I was just, it'd be nice, it'd be good if it was in July, so there isn't as much manure hauling on number 4.
And I have told them that out of these 3 roadways, County 4 is the one that I would be the most concerned about. If we got into wet weather in the fall, the
Yep.
roadways opened up.
Yep.
So if it gets to that point where the project gets delayed and we look at, paving in the fall, I would prefer to do 4 first, because we don't want to have the roadway fall apart as they try to repave it.
You're gonna regrind it, put down new.
Yes.
So number 1 is off 76th all the way to Beaver?
Yep.
Is there gonna be a bike lane on that?
So it's paved, 4-foot paved shoulders. So we're not gonna have, the bike symbols, but it is paved at that width where it could be considered a bike lane if you really wanted to.
So did you get state aid money, extra money for that? Or?
That's that state park road account money that they, essentially what it is, state park road account money is paying for the shoulders all the way down to the park, and then they're paying for the pavement within the park area is what that state park road account money is paying for. Our county state aid money is paying for the driving lanes from the highway to the park.
So how much is that state?
About half the cost. The projects, I believe it's 600, and I was gonna print off
Okay.
that sheet before I left, a little over 600,000 total.
Gonna have rumble strips along the fog lines.
We're not clear on those at this point.
No fog.
That's another big cost, isn't it? to do that type of work.
It's not a huge expense. So I haven't talked to the board about that recently on this. So we could pursue putting rumbles in on, this roadways or other roads. And we can pursue highway safety improvement program funds for rumble stripes. It comes down to, do we want them, don't we? Vehicles, we'll drive in them, farm equipment, are they gonna drive on that rumble? Do they move over one way or another to avoid that rumble? How does that affect everything on that use of the roadways? So past boards, when we had that discussion, either at the board meeting or at subcommittee, the recommendation's always been, we don't want rumbles in this county because, yes, there may be a safety benefit, but if farm equipment starts driving differently because of it, they really didn't want to start going there. So we could definitely have that conversation and reconsider going it. But if we want to put rumbles, we can always, I would recommend that we pursue that money, get it paid for with 80%.
However, we should cover safety.
And, bicyclists like rumbles to have that separation of,
Mhm.
they know if someone's coming at them by crossing that.
Yeah.
line.
We know like the road down to Beaver, that would be probably a good road to do the rumble strips because there's not a lot of heavy machinery. You don't have to do the whole road, but part of it down in there for bike
Just
safety.
down at the park line.
Yeah.
Food for thought later. Okay,
All
we
right,
got a motion yet?
no, we haven't.
We'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Brent.
Brian, going back to that excavator, I know you mentioned in our previous conversation that for maintenance or warranty work, you're gonna go to Dresbach with that machine? You think?
More than likely we'll go that way. Yes, depending on what their capabilities of and what the repair is.
Right. Okay.
I guess one question too, while you're here, County 22 down towards Highway 16 is not totally blacktop. Is there some discussion in the future for that? Or
Not this time.
I had a guy call me about it and I said, well, I guess check into it. Okay, thank you.
We could use ARPA money as a maintenance deal and do that double chip seal like we did on 24,
Yeah,
at least down the hill.
that wouldn't be the roadway I would recommend. Now, although that hill section is always, it doesn't hurt. But there
Gets-
is a
gets
section
pretty
where I would
choppy.
be concerned about having. I would be concerned that one fold up, another section which we talked about.
Down where it's wet.
Yeah.
I guess I was just talking the hill itself.
Yep.
Once you get to the bottom where it's groundwater and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it would be something that we could consider as far as a maintenance project.
Well, we got a lot of county gravel roads that we could seal.
Mhm. Brian, I did get a
241
couple calls about, coming from Hoka to La Crescent, when we get by the gas station there, it goes from one lane to the two lanes. And if you're coming out of down 14th Street and want to go to La Crosse, you can't tell if the car is in your lane or not. Is there a way that the one lane to the right could be straight ahead and the other lane could be a turn lane? I've had more calls about it. I tried to pull out, especially at night, and I can't see if they're in my lane or the other lane. I know it's a state thing.
Yes, I can bring that up to the state as they,
Is this when you're coming from La Crescent towards Hoka?
The other way.
Northbound on,
Going from Hoka to La Crescent, right by the gas station there, it goes from one lane.
Yeah, that's
Well,
where you
splits.
enter
And
the
if
split.
you're
It
trying
it
to
is
get out-
confusing.
And it's
When
very
people wanna turn
busy
to the
because
gas
people are
station.
going to La
Oh,
Crosse.
so people
I think she's
leaving the
talking
gas
about just
station.
after that,
People leaving
Oh.
14th Street.
14th. that'll be the-
14th, coming
just-
down
yep.
14th, you go across and you kind of look to see if the car is in your lane or the one to the right.
Well, there's 3 lanes there. There's a turn lane. to
Yeah,
come
but
in
not
front
till
and
the
two.
last minute.
Yeah.
The turn lane is
It's
not
a short
till
one.
too late, by that time you've been sitting there and I've had a couple calls about that.
It's similar to southbound between 14th and the Sinclair station there. They've done the
That
bump
too
out
goes
there.
into one lane, but the other one
But-
is more concerning,
Yeah.
especially at night. You can't see if a car's in your lane or the one to the right.
yeah,
It's-
as
I've
the-
had,
yeah, as the state goes to do their paving project coming up, they might go to stripe it or do it a little bit differently at that time, so it's
okay,
a good time to mention it too.
okay, that would be good.
Thank you.
Speaking of striping, Dewey, you brought that up. Wildcat, the striping down into the boat landing, that isn't done yet. Do we have striping capacity ourselves?
No,
Okay.
all we have is
The walk behind,
put a spray can in and walk in, yeah, so,
parking lot one.
but we can.
We're not talking a very big deal here, a couple of 6-inch lines, 50 feet long.
Yeah, we can definitely look at adding that in. I was just working the striping contract yesterday, so I can put it in there.
Throw in 200 feet. Okay.
50 feet for each, or
Yeah.
maybe a little longer than that for each other ramps. I mean,
Yeah.
to keep the vehicles going.
Mm.
Align them where they want to be.
Right.
Then you can see what you're doing. When you're backing up, the mirrors will tell you where you're at. That's what we use.
Who do we talk to about getting the boat places cleaned out? We've got so much sediment and fill in there. They can't dock the boats. They take busting their propellers and
Yep, so that's, at the north ramp is the DNR, the south ramp, it would be, Army Corps or the county doing it with Army Corps approval.
we should do something because we're gonna lose out on a lot of that. They wanna raise that. We're not gonna have people that are going down to either up to Lawrence and they're docking up there or else they're going down to the next one down there by Richards. What's that called?
And that north
Millstone.
one, the DNR was supposed to come back and do some work there, without a long stick backhoe and stuff. I don't think they ever did, but they were supposed to come back for that, so I can try to follow up, but
Push on them a little on that because they're gonna lose out on a lot of people not docking there anymore. These guys' boats are getting so big, it takes a little bit of water to hold them up.
There'll be discussion when we have our Parks Committee meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you. Action item number 4, consider through mutual agreement with the Minnesota Association of Professional Employees, terminate the current 21 to 23 agreement and approve the proposed 22 to 24 labor agreement between the county of Houston and MAPE. Tess, please come forward.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The county we are ready to execute 2 more agreements. One's with MAPE and the one following it is with the Lieutenant Unit for LELS. both of those units. We've reached an agreement with across the board COLA of 2% for 22, 3% for 23, and 3% for 24. With the implementation of the new pay grid, that is the same grid that we have been successfully negotiated with the other units. There is really no other significant language.
I make a motion, we approve the MAPE.
I
Oh,
got
wait a minute, no, wait a minute.
MAPE, that's what we're looking at.
Maybe it's for number 4.
But we have to have like 2 motions to terminate and another to accept the new.
I think you can do it in one motion.
Okay, I make a
Again, we're
motion.
looking for 3 years.
Yeah, I make a motion, we terminate the current contract of 21 to 23 and the approve the proposed contract from 22 to 24.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the contracts. Any more discussion? Favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 5, yes, it's local law enforcement.
Different unit, same terms. Respectfully request the termination of the current 21-23 agreement with the implementation of 22 through 24.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
It's been a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I have one question for you, Tess.
Yes, sir.
When I read these contracts and whatnot, it shows all the different holidays. There's a new holiday, Juneteenth. Is that a consideration?
It's not currently in our current bargaining
I think the
agreements.
federal government made Juneteenth a federal holiday, so I didn't know if that was gonna come back.
That was
on
never
us.
discussed. That.
I don't know if that's just, I'm just curious if
Never
that's gonna come back.
discussed, something I can look at for you.
I'm just
and
curious,
then
that's all.
answer back to
It's
you.
not in this contract.
Okay,
Nor has it been discussed amongst HR directors in general.
okay.
Something I can look at and determine to make sure we're in compliance, but I believe we are.
Thank you.
Any more questions for him? 6, consider reappointing James Weiser to the planning commission for a 3-year term, 22 through 24. Tess.
Yes, commissioners. Mr. Weiser has expressed an interest. We have documentation that we
Mhm.
received from
Yeah.
him forwarded to your attention of his interest in serving another 3-year term.
I'll make a motion to approve Jim Weezer to the planning commission.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to approve Jim Weiser to the planning commission. Any more discussion?
He's a good member. He was on it when I was
Mhm.
Been on
the
there years.
representative. He's
Mhm.
been on it a long time. He's
A
very
lot of
level-headed and
experience.
very,
Awful good candidate,
Insightful.
I'd have to say.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of good experience.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, she carries.
We will be bringing back you have another opening on the planning commission, and we will be bringing candidates to you. very soon.
That's being advertised.
It has been.
Board of Adjustment, that's okay, everybody's
That was,
My understanding.
we're pretty close back to solid people.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
thank you.
Want me, do I have to sign any contracts, Steph?
I will get them all together for you. I'm
Okay.
bringing them as close to you.
Thank you.
We don't have much time.
All right, moving on. Consider approving purchase for 4 servers as a total of $61,372 based on the low quote from SHI from ARPA funds. Carol. Come on up.
So Andy had originally proposed 3 items to be paid for with ARPA funds, and I guess they're listed under he's the HCIT, the boardroom technology, the servers, and the Microsoft licensing. And it was originally thought to be $60,000, and it came in at $61,372 for the servers.
This is from ARPA funds.
More questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to approve the servers, the 4 servers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Number eight, discuss and possibly approve additional ARPA funds distribution.
You got the sheet there, I kind of pulled out every email, every document, every note I could find, and just made a list of everything that's been discussed up until this point. And amounts, and I guess it's up to the board to decide if they want to allocate any of those, or wait until we have the work group session where we discuss some of these other items that don't have amounts on them. It's up to the board.
Well, I think we could start with some, like the EMSs. We've pretty much agreed on them. We could get those going.
I agree. I think we should get going on the
EMS.
fire departments and the ambulances. They could use that money.
Okay, so I did add the first responders
Mhm.
on that because they are typically who we appropriate money to. We appropriate $10,000 of the EMS and ambulance services and the first responders for the cities who don't have ambulance service, we appropriate them a lesser amount. So I did add those because if we're doing the ambulance services, we should probably also give the first responders from those cities
So like
something also.
McCresson, Holka, Eitzen, and Brownsville would be an additional for the first, so like a $10,000 figure? Or what? I don't know
I
what
would
it's.
think that would
I mean,
be
the 40,000 is what was, stated for the
Yep.
fire departments. I don't know if you want to stay with that amount, but yeah, the first responders.
Or a 5,000, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000. I mean,
So like.
that's, for them, that's a lot of money. What do we give them now?
Well, a lot of their money.
$675.
Yeah, we don't give them.
Wow.
So maybe it should be 5 to make it more reasonable.
Yeah, I think that.
I think 5,000 would be reasonable for
Good
first
start.
responders.
Yeah.
Okay, so did we ever get a request from the posse?
We did. That's,
Do we want to include them in on this too then? Or?
okay,
That's 5,000.
Yeah,
well,
we already,
okay.
Well, that was for,
And that's actually one of the things that popped into my head after I'd already printed you all this, but there was something to add. The posse did request, of course, the money to update the sheriff shed, something be allocated.
impound shed.
They thought it would probably cost $25,000. We had indicated maybe 5,000 to get the electrical done, so that's different. But for maintenance of their drone, training, a bunch of different things that they had listed, they thought it would cost like $30,000. So that is their request. You are willing to consider giving them some amount.
is that on this?
No.
No, it's 5
Okay.
for electrical.
Yeah, and I actually did put that like under the sheriff's because it's
Yep.
essentially, that shit out there. So I just thought it was easier to kind of.
They want
classify
30,
it.
we can give them 15 maybe. I don't know, it's up to you guys.
They did actually request it from the VA to start with.
Will be under the sheriff's department.
And the radios are 63.5.
And we had already allocated that
Right.
in the budget process
Oh,
to the sheriff's office.
okay, so then we don't have, okay.
Yes.
Right.
Just a comment here. I see you didn't list La Crescent Fire Department.
Oh, is it on here? Okay, I guess it is off there. Can't exclude them, can we, Dewey? That wouldn't be good.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
We'd be missing a board member.
Yes, I had to look twice, see.
Yeah,
They don't
there
have
should
an
be,
ambulance service, right?
No,
Excuse me?
They don't have an ambulance service.
No, they're strictly EMS and
Yeah,
fire.
whatever.
Tri-State does that.
Right.
So,
by doing this to the first responders, you're actually just increasing the fire departments, because all those
Basically,
fire
yeah.
departments
Yeah.
are the first responders.
in most cases.
That's what I was thinking.
Right. Brownsville gets 40,000 plus 10
I
Or
think,
5 or
Plus
whatever.
five.
Five.
or 5.
Five.
Okay. First responder equipment besides fire department.
I mean, it is two separate things.
Mhm.
Kind of.
But yeah,
For
It's
their
the same
budget.
people. It's the same.
Basically same.
So
Their
then
budget,
what,
yeah.
so what's the point?
well, we were gonna do 35, now we went 40. I think we should leave it at 40 and then not give the first responders some. But then the Dewey's is a different situation. They don't have an ambulance.
Well, yeah.
but they have a fire department,
Yeah.
as you're saying.
We have a
Yeah.
fire department, yeah.
Oh,
I
But see,
think they
the
like to be ready.
the ambulance fee we're giving to some of these other areas money for the ambulance service. And so, because McCusson doesn't have their own, they contract or have somebody else do it. There's 40,000, so La Caledonia would be getting $80,000 for ambulance and fire. And if we stick with the fire for the responders, that's 85,000. La Crescent gets 45,000, but it's something.
Additional equipment.
To maintain and
To
staff,
maintain and keep for the first responder
Mhm.
access.
they can use it for training, whatever.
Yeah, they got 2 extra vehicles just for
Recruiting.
first responders.
Or recruiting, and given what's been in the paper with what they've been talking about, it's a big issue, and I think the faster we can get money out to them, money doesn't fix everything, we still need volunteers to do this
That's right.
work. But
And
we
you can
we
use
need
it
to-
for sign-on bonus.
Yeah,
type thing for
right,
them.
right.
Right. But that's up to them how they want to use
That's
it.
right. We're not saying.
So
So-
basically, we're adding the 5,000 to the first responders, which is 4 of them.
Yeah.
And we're adding Little Crescent Fire Department for 40.
Yeah.
Okay. And do we want to get this money out to them rather?
Well, I think.
Quickly.
Right away.
Sooner the better.
I think so.
I think so too.
Okay.
It'd be
But-
nice
Can
to.
we do that today?
I don't know why-
Without an action item?
Well,
I
We
think
can
so.
add them to the batch that's today.
Yeah.
If you.
It is an action item.
it is on the
Right.
action item list.
Possibly, if we said possibly approved, so I think we could.
Yep.
So what do you want to do with the posse? What do you want to give them then if we're gonna do this? What do you think's fair?
They have a request for what, 30-some thousand?
Yeah,
For,
$30,000 for
that
drone.
can't,
And that goes under the sheriff, so.
Well, I do actually have that one separate because it came from them. The request is from their 501c3. And it's not on yours because I just remembered it after.
Okay.
If they
10,000?
requested $30,000. I can actually go get their request. It was for maintenance of the unit, getting it completed. It'd be best if you heard exactly
how
what
much
it was for.
does? How much comes out of the sheriff's budget for the posse, if any?
I don't think they get paid anything, do they?
I think
They don't get paid anything.
They don't get anything though.
So here's a question I'm gonna ask you. When the police departments come and say, how come we aren't getting anything?
Well, don't they get it through their city, ARPA?
But that's a city deal.
That's a city
That's a
deal.
city, so they got their own money through the city.
Yeah.
The city like the ambulance in Caledonia is city sponsored, city supported. along with
But
the
it
township.
services rural
And the
areas.
township, I mean. they both-
Right.
So they said the drone fully equipped along with training, certification, continued education and maintenance, $30,000.
But they have a drone.
They already got the drone.
Fully equipped, does that mean?
They ain't got-
More
there's
equipment
something
coming?
that we don't have for it? I mean, I don't know.
Well, they have a vehicle to have stored in, correct?
Yes,
And
Mhm.
I think we
It's up to
should,
The amount that you actually want to appropriate to them.
I think we should just, we can always do more later. I think we should just give them the 5,000 for the electrical and go from there.
Well, that's actually a payment that we'll be doing. I mean, we're not
Well,
going
that's
to
for
have,
the building.
It's
yeah.
we're
already
not going to
budgeted.
have them hire a contractor to.
Well, no,
add
no, but
the
we're gonna
electrical
cover
to
it,
our
right?
building.
Yeah.
That would be something that's allocated with the sheriff's office.
Okay,
So this is, are
Separate.
you going to give that 501c3 any additional funding?
Maybe we should give them 10,000 and then reassess it in, when we do the second round of,
maybe we should do this. We should have them come before us and
Not that you want to get into that.
Yeah, just more asshole.
oh, it'd be nice. We're just
Did I
shooting.
say that out loud?
Well, to give us the update or information, on what their request is for and what it's gonna be used for. I know, not to say we don't believe you, Carol, what they're saying. I'm just saying that to help us in the decision here.
They got licensing for the operator that runs the drone and training for other people in order to run the drone. They've got maintenance on the drone. Maybe there's some parts that, I don't know about the additional equipment for the drone.
I don't know.
I
either.
don't know if they need a whole lot because it's got all the different things as far as heat seeking and all that business.
Why don't we just give them 7,500 for now and then we'll see what happens next time around. And then they'd have maybe a little bit of money for training.
Get them started at least, get the electrical done, get them started on the training so that they can.
For the electrical.
No,
The
this is
electrical
just,
is
this is
for
just,
the sheriff.
this is just a one-time give
right.
to a
their
501c3,
Like a one-time give to a fire department of
Right.
$40,000.
Yep. an allocation.
One time.
I can go with the 75.
That's fine.
Okay,
Okay. The 75.
75 for that.
So in terms of this, the Southeast Minnesota Emergency Medical Services have requested additional funding because they're losing funding because of seatbelt. Everybody's wearing their seatbelts.
yeah, but we
now, so
already
they don't-
appropriate
Yeah.
five,
And they provide training for
they do.
the people who are recruited.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're giving the fire districts and EMS money, that could pay for that training, or do we want to allocate money to that?
But we,
They're one of them that we give $5,000.
We give 5,000 now, as does every county. This would be, I know they can use it,
I think they've requested it. That's a meeting that you attend.
yes.
Each county to,
They are losing money because of the reduction in
Seatbelt.
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 tickets. Although I do see, when you read the police reports, there's a lot of seatbelt tickets. that
There's
are-
still some being written, but
We get $2.
People are
on the
getting
fine.
educated.
doesn't,
I just think in terms of the EMS, the emergency service type things. if
I
you
think
were
we
gonna
could give them
them-
another 5,000 along with the first responders.
Oh,
Because
this
they
is
do
good.
train all the first responders.
but this is just a one-time. This isn't gonna be a.
Right. Well, the appropriation we've been doing every year of 5. This is a
additional.
$5,000 along with the first responders and fire department.
So it'll be 10,000 this year.
This year will be 10,
One time. only.
but one time only.
We'll leave the 5,000 as
We'll
an
leave the 5.
appropriation and this will be a special.
Right.
We don't want to tie it to, say, a 10,000
No.
appropriation because then
No.
they'll say,
So-
well,
No, because the other counties all give 5
Yeah.
in their appropriations.
Yeah.
But this would be an extra 5 this year only.
Same thing for the communications board.
The communications board was on one of the lists that wasn't an amount that wasn't. I'm not
That's the
sure
one Dewey's on.
where
that
that
we're
came
waiting
from.
yeah, they're pretty well taken care of right now as far as they bill you annually on a small amount.
we'll leave that one go.
They're not medical yet.
Yeah, so I just, put it on, like I said, I took every list, every note I could find, and kind of just put them all on.
All those that I scanned into you,
So
the
all
ones I scanned into you on my
Mhm.
handwritten notes.
What about the watersheds?
that's,
I'm-
We had a discussion about that. Eric, you want to speak on that?
I, go ahead, Carol.
It seems like a large amount. to me.
Well,
I do too.
here's what I'm thinking. We've already given Crook Creek some already.
Mhm.
And instead of dividing this out in watersheds like Winnebago, Root River, Bear Creek.
Yep.
I think we should just combine it to the soil and water and have them, let them
Break it
spend
down.
it for clean water projects throughout the county and not specifically, because if we give 100,000 to the river watershed, that covers multiple
No,
counties.
Yes,
And we want to stick this money into Houston County.
Mhm.
right.
Okay,
Because if we go with the watersheds, that means it's gonna be watersheds only. We're not gonna get no dams built. We're not gonna get no. ponds
Well,
built with that
they're not
money.
all going to be in that certain,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know what kind of projects they got planned out there, future plans, but I was thinking 250 to soil and water as a whole.
Instead of the 400, that's
It's
kind of,
right.
Yeah,
because we have some watersheds that may not need it much, but then might be one of the other watersheds that's got a project or
Right.
in the
need-
county.
in the county.
is it 250 plus the 40 or less?
Well, we've already done the 40
I know.
for
So
Crooked
an
Creek.
additional 250.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So take that off, or no?
What?
We already gave them 40.
Yeah.
So the 250.
In addition,
250 for, to
No,
soil and water.
additional.
250 to soil and water in place of the
400
four watersheds.
To be used in
Because we've
Houston
already
County.
done the 40, right, Carol?
Yes,
Right,
so that'd be 290 total.
right, so they're getting 290.
right.
And it goes to
So
what
it'd
you
be a
said earlier,
reduction.
we can
Well,
always-
no, they're getting, Crooked Creek got
I mean,
40
Crooked Creek
and
Watershed is its own district.
Yeah.
They have their own board, they have their own.
Crooked Creek
books.
does, yep.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So should we actually be giving Crooked Creek their own and then.
We
the
did.
Other,
We did,
uh,
we did give them that.
well,
The soil
it's
and
not
water,
proportional to what you're giving soil and water. I guess is probably what I'm saying.
here's a question, does soil and water also fund Crooked Creek or is Crooked Creek by itself?
Crooked Creek is its own.
It's
So
by
what-
itself, but Soil and Water works with them to do their help with their projects like that
They do,
recent
and they
project.
build it.
Yep,
They
right.
build Crooked Creek.
Right.
And Bear
right.
Creek has their own separate.
We
board.
could always give more to Crooked Creek. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for the rest of the county here. Giving the
So
soil
if
and
you
water.
gave Crooked Creek watershed, so shouldn't you just give 120 total? If you gave Crooked Creek watershed 40. Should the others, you know, because we have 3 named districts, should that money be pooled as 120 individual? So,
I think we should just give them one check because if you
well,
start
right, I mean,
designating,
that's what I'm saying, but
we don't want to designate it to any
I
watershed.
think 250,000 is a good amount to give to soil and water for their.
Would
Project.
soil and water give some of that to Crooked Creek or will they
It's
say,
possible.
That's
we
up
help
to
you,
them.
but you gotta pay for it?
It's
up to
possible. We
them.
don't know what. We're having good faith effort that they're gonna do clean water projects and
I think you're just gonna hear from Crooked Creek watershed that says we only got 40. You know, and you're giving soil and water 250 for 3 other watersheds.
But
or
soil and water-
projects. So
soil-
I have talked to Paul and told him what our thoughts were, and he agreed with what I was saying about giving soil and water this money, knowing that we gave them some money too. So if they want to request more money, they sure can come back and do that. I'm not saying we're cutting them off. We're not giving them anymore. I'm just saying to
At this time,
eliminate this Winnebago, Root River and Bear Creek, let's just do one soil and water.
Well, you gotta remember soil and water come and pursued us for the 40,000. It wasn't Crooked Creek, so. Well, I think we just give it to soil and
No,
water.
it was Crooked Creek that came to us.
Was
Yeah.
it?
well,
And that
this
was
time, I think we
because-
should do.
And
the-
I did talk to soil and water as far as the bills that were coming in and needed to be paid.
We all work together, so you know how you.
So in that case, I think you're right.
I think at this point, we should give the 250,000 to soil and water
For clean water
for
projects.
clean water projects.
Okay, I'll go along with that.
in the county.
Yep. 250,000.
Okay. Suncat, Hiawatha Valley Mental Health,
let's leave those.
Me again earlier this week, just as an FYI. I told them we hadn't gotten that far yet.
Neither have they. I mean, from the perspective of, we think
Right.
this is how much it's gonna cost to do these different projects. That's everything. Are we gonna do everything? I don't think so. We'll do the doors, we'll do the
No,
automatic door.
we're just gonna give them appropriation.
Yeah, we're not gonna-
I know it, but we're not gonna appropriate
The
as
entire
much as they're
amount,
asking.
the entire
Right.
amount
Right.
that they-
Yes, exactly.
And Hiawatha Valley is still seeking funding to do the project that they requested the 14 for, so they may not need it. I know the food shelves are all hurting as far as donations are down a little bit, costs have gone up. So they're all, for sure, we should give them $1,000, I think.
Agreement on that one?
That's fine.
1,000 ain't much, though. Half a beat.
I know.
See, now that SEMCAC 59,000, that also had,
Where do you see that? I'm
I
not
don't
seeing
see
it's
that.
that.
right under watershed.
Yep, right under the Bear Creek
Just
watershed.
a little watershed.
Oh,
SEMCAC also is running short of funds because of food costs. 59,000 was a multitude of things as far as doors and entryways and concrete work and whatnot. But it also, they've had to cut back from 2 times a month to once a month as far as coming in to get things because of funding
But it's
reductions and
actually
costs.
covered in the Caledonia food shelf,
Mhm.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
right? Because doesn't some.
That's true, that's true.
Run that.
Yes.
there isn't a separate one, yeah. Okay,
but that's a county-wide food shelf, correct?
right.
So anybody from the county could come there, right?
Well, they
Anybody,
can go to any of
anybody.
them.
Well, that's true.
Anywhere.
Yeah, because we get a lot of people from
You're
the
driving
Crescent.
through town and you see it, you can stop and get food.
You can come from Iowa, you can come from Wisconsin. Any place.
Iowa too. Sure.
Wisconsin, yeah, you see vehicles there.
Yeah, there's no,
So $1,000 is,
Good enough, I think.
At
huh?
least at this point, I think.
Yeah,
We
we
can
can
always
give them
do.
another
A
1,000
good
next
start
year.
there.
Mhm.
that's
We should
that's
go
at
back
the very
to the-
least.
Wildcat, we should talk about Wildcat too a little bit there.
We
That's,
don't have a cost yet for them
No.
instruments.
but what do we want to do down there? Do we want to fix some shelters? Do we want to put some nice bathrooms in?
Well, I
The
think-
south bath restroom for sure.
I think we should leave it up to the Wildcat board to
Yes.
come up with,
We'll have a Parks Committee meeting. and
Right.
We'll have a discussion about what we need. I don't think we can use it for the shelters because I don't think that's a qualified.
But the bathrooms
The
definitely.
bathrooms.
need to be-
There's some,
Definitely the bathrooms.
and
And
I think, wasn't it like $200,000 for the building at one time when they were looking at doing it?
Brian's here. and We'll have a discussion when we have our parks.
Park.
yeah, come back later.
Yeah, I think it was 100,000. So there was something for the.
But cost has gone up too.
We'll have a meeting.
Find out what.
we can put rock in there, can't we? That'll be
And
ARPA,
you have
right?
somebody
Rock
advocating.
qualify for ARPA?
Rock
Gravel?
as maintenance.
Yeah, they need a lot of rock down there. I was wondering, would ARPA pay for the rock?
Like gravel on a road?
Yeah, like the roads and their places they set their campers. We need to put some more rock down. The pads,
Are we
I mean,
in?
that could just be
Yeah.
probably one of our Wildcat costs that we pay for
Mhm.
from our
Their budget.
fees that are.
Let's have Brian you set up a Parks Committee meeting when it fits your schedule and
Okay.
don't do it in the afternoon for the next month though. I can only meet in the mornings.
okay?
We're a little up in the air on highway then.
Mhm.
Maintenance. We gotta wait on that.
we're up in the air again on that.
Yeah.
So the John Deere loader from last year hasn't actually been paid for, haven't received it? Okay, so then.
So we're gonna change that.
So we need to get bids on this construction for the parking lot, correct?
Well, we haven't decided, we haven't got estimates
That-
yet
that's
for
all.
that, so.
Yeah, we need to get some bids.
I think this is a pretty good start here, for,
Mhm.
spending a couple $1 million.
I think
So
we're
I think we-
starting out, but yes.
What about the sheriff's radios? Have we got
That
quotes
was
on that?
already in the,
Yeah, I mean, that was already approved in the budget
Okay.
process, so I'm assuming he's
Right.
getting those.
But we don't have to formally approve it out of
We
the ARPA
will with
dollars.
our plan. It was formally approved in the budget.
Okay. Surveyor equipment,
The surveyor equipment was the same.
comp land, we're waiting. Accounts payable system.
what
Haven't
about
got it.
finance, Carol?
What's that?
What about finance?
The accounts payable system?
Yep.
We need to work on that.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to carry 1 million over.
Oh, we'll carry a lot more than that.
Well, I mean, we'll make sure we keep 1 million.
We'll be getting, we have the 1.8 million that we received last year, and we'll be getting the others in June.
I believe
So
so.
1.8 million.
We still have quite a bit left.
Which we can
Of our
just,
first half here.
this is a good, get out to the people the money now and then
Yes,
reevaluate, see our balances and
right.
see what comes up.
I mean, like, all these ambulances, if they gotta order stuff, they might be out 6, 8 months, a year, who the hell knows,
Whatever equipment.
And it's up to
We're
them.
only talking $500,000.
Do you have a total there, Carol, from all these additions? I was trying to keep up with it. there.
I'll put
We're in that $500,000 cap.
I'll slide those over to
Maybe
the
6.
paid.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
So the vaccine clinic's already been approved.
Right.
The loader's coming out. The radios have already been approved.
No, the loaders,
Loader's not coming out.
loaders a question we're gonna have to reevaluate.
Paid, I guess this should have been more, rather than say paid, approved.
Mhm.
Because the board did approve the purchase of the John Deere loader from ARPA funds. We're going to have to probably rescind that.
Yes, because of the,
I mean, like
Price
a
increase.
mileage rate is only half of what you can
Mhm.
charge. And when they're billing that equipment to the cost of a road, it creates
headache.
disparity between two projects.
Yeah.
If one, you're using a piece of equipment that wasn't purchased with federal fund, and this one you are, the same thing is only going to be able to be logged this much
Yeah.
on one, and when you go to replace.
We don't wanna get in that.
Wishing match.
So just from my education, the vaccine clinics at 28,890 has been okayed and is done.
Correct. That was
The radios for the sheriff's department has been approved by prior board meeting.
It was
Right.
included in the budget.
Right. So we have approved it.
Yep.
Right.
The Posse Shed Electrical, have we approved that formally?
75, well,
No,
no,
the
it's not
5,000.
electrical, it's just a one time.
No,
No, this is for
he's
the
looking
electrical.
at,
for the
Okay.
he's
shed.
looking at this one where it does address.
The 5,000 needs to be approved. The 7,500 needs to be approved. The servers, the 60,000 for the servers which is now 61,000 something.
Which today we already did.
We approved that. Then we've got the 40,000s for the EMS. We've got the 5,000 for the first responders and the 5,000 for Southeast Minnesota Medical Services. We've got 250,000 for the soil and water, clean water projects in Houston County,
Mhm.
and $1,000 each for all the food shelves.
Right.
You got a motion?
That'll be a motion from me to approve those items, and I'll read them again. Posse Shed Electrical, Houston County Posse Training Maintenance, the $40,000 for the fire departments, the $40,000 for the ambulance departments, $5,000 for all the city first responders, and $5,000 for the Southeast Minnesota Emergency Medical Services, plus soil and water, clean water projects in Houston County, $250,000, And the 5 food shelves in Houston County, $1,000 apiece.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a
We do-
motion and a
We
second.
do need to make a note that we didn't have the Crescent Fire Department on the original list to add it.
I've penciled
Oh,
it
you
in on
are?
mine,
Okay,
so it is
You can just
included
say
in
all
Okay.
fire
that's good. Okay,
all the fire
You said
departments.
all fire, okay, just
Any more
don't want
discussion?
Dewey to get into trouble.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those ARPA funds are okay.
We'll add them to the.
Okay.
Thank
very
you,
much.
Carol.
Thank you
A lot of
very
good
much.
information.
Once
But
get
we will
some
have
more-
it on the agenda for the work group session next week also.
Okay,
Go through some more of the stuff and in case we find something that we forgot to put on the list.
okay.
And Dewey, when I said 500,000, I had not included the soil and water 250, so we're
I was
really,
gonna say.
we're at 750 to
it- it-
800.
You had a tally going there. Thank you.
It was, it seemed a little light.
You're correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
Moving on, we'll go to board updates.
Do we want to talk about this capital improvement reserve?
Yeah, we can do that.
Just for a
That'd be
second.
awesome. Sorry about that.
So we discussed the fund balance that we set aside since 2011 for capital improvement projects. And it was the money that we received as a payback from MCIT. You know, our dividend.
Right.
So through the years, we added that amount, then we took off certain capital project or capital improvement, capital spending that we did. So the balance that we have in there after 2021, we did end up using some of it for things that happened that we hadn't budgeted for.
Right.
Like the True Unit in the Houston County, or the historic courthouse, the woodland heating system, and the boiler replacement in the Justice Center. And
Right.
this isn't the total amount, it's actually just the amount that we were like over budget in those line items. So it doesn't reflect the entire cost. So the total in the capital improvement reserve is $959,162.
Okay.
$731,503 is also in the historic jail reserve, the money that we got from MCIT after the audit incident.
A total of 1.690 million.
So that's what we have available. I know, we did hold off on the roof, looking at applying for the grant through the Minnesota Historical Society. That seems to probably be not something that we're going to end up getting.
Mhm.
So I.
Well, we were rejected on that, right? Last time.
And the night before.
We were in depression.
So we want to take the roof out of the capital improvements?
I think so.
Yes.
I think we should,
I think we need to get the roof done.
I think we should get estimates.
We're going to-
Good. I was
And
just
have
gonna
that-
ask, do we have any numbers yet?
Yeah, no, I think we should pursue estimates.
Yep, I agree.
I do.
I don't
You
know,
want it as an estimate or as a?
well, can we do quotes for that? I don't know if
That'd
that,
be more than.
it'd be more than the
Yeah,
quotes are
bids.
allowed, yeah.
175,000 is good.
So what was your question?
Well, are we requesting estimates? Are we, or proposals or bids or,
Proposal.
Bids.
I'd like to get, so we can firm it up.
Quotes are bids are what, it's what's referred to in the statute. There is no proposal.
Okay,
There's request for quotes or there's request for bids. Bids you have to do if it's over 175,000. So what we probably need to do is contact somebody to put together.
An engineering firm? An engineering firm?
Yes.
To
We have
put
some-
together,
We have some engineering on it, although I would recommend that be modified because it includes historic.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
However, I.
Carol, Tess, you wanna come up forward here?
I wouldn't necessarily throw out the baby with the bath, so to speak, because there's probably a lot of value in there that we wouldn't need to pay for a second time.
So I can, I will see what I can do to get that updated so that we have an apples to apples comparison.
Okay.
Is that the same company that did the steps?
Don't get them.
Well, no, that's the contractor deal.
That was a.
That did the,
Engineering.
The
Engineering for it.
Yeah, they've done the engineering for it. They've got a lot of the foundational work all completed. I think it would be a lot less costly on the county not to start from scratch since they already have all the collaborative design.
Collaborative design.
But if you want a whole new engineering
No.
study,
I was just, but we need to make sure that we're not, like you said, take some of that stuff out because it's not gonna be,
just,
because we don't want it to be,
we're looking at roof, fascia, downspouts. All of that has to really be part of the roofing system.
Mhm.
And we need to look and see what we can do and can't do.
Okay.
When you walk out on a windy day, you always want to make sure you're looking up.
there's something flying around.
There's gonna be stuff coming out.
So using this engineering firm, you have to see quotes, or is it okay to use them?
Well,
Because we've used them in the past.
let's get an idea of what the charge would be.
Did they give an estimate of what they would
And
charge?
if
to
they're
do it?
interested, I mean, we're
Right.
making an assumption.
Yeah.
If they have time to do the work. I would think that we can just, I'll talk with Carol and we'll look at the statute, but I think what we would be looking at is just modifying an existing SOP, or SOW for work that we already have done competitive quotes on.
Right.
Because we'll just be looking at modification. and contract that. We'll look and see about that.
What does SOW stand for? Something what?
Statement of work.
Statement of work.
Okay.
SOP is standard operating procedure.
Oh, so fine.
We don't-
Yeah.
SOW, so that we have.
That's B, Bob, that's B.
Son of Bob.
That would include identifying acceptable materials.
Yeah.
And we already have that the county has paid for because it was something we had to do as part of our application for our grant, is we already have an example RFP, if you will. So that structure is already completed as well.
Okay.
All this would be, so just be updating what we have.
Right, and just as long as it's not so detailed where we can't get local contractors interested in it, so we're gonna only get somebody from that does historical work. That's my,
It won't be, I think they should probably, rather than tearing something out, if it's salvageable, they can keep that. But we've had in the past when we were looking interstate
right,
roofing, and it's gonna require somebody that is, has the ability to come in and actually,
correct. But what I was getting at is it's not engineered so that they cannot achieve what we
Local
want to
people
do
can't
here,
bid
and
on
that
it.
is fix the roof.
no, and I think what you want is.
But not to historical standards, is
Right.
what I'm getting at.
And we don't want, that is accurate. At the same time, we don't want a 20-year roof. We
No,
want-
no,
No.
no,
we
no,
want
no.
Something that's going to have some life to it and their ability to deliver in a timely manner. What we typically do is ask companies, when we have projects of this magnitude, we ask companies to provide us with a list of projects they have worked on in the past so that we have some. We're not just looking at a one-story structure, and that they've, thrown a few roofs on a one-story structure. But we do not want to, we want to encourage, and we don't want to discourage local competition.
Will anybody and stuff. But it was-
No, they can get that like Interstate or Ledgar.
Oh, yeah. those
McCabe-
guys.
McCabe-
I'm not-
In Houston County.
Affordable isn't gonna, yeah.
I think there's a McCabe and Hope, McCabe roofing, don't they do that flat roofs and stuff too?
Flat roofs, but I don't know.
Because they're fun.
mean,
Flat roofs are rather new. We have replaced both flat roofs already.
They're all
So they
done.
wouldn't be
So
in
it's
the-
only gonna be this building here that's gonna get the roof.
It's just a pitched roof.
Okay.
And Cupola has a roof on it. And,
Yeah, that's another company. Yeah.
and then the hatch.
Culprit
might
is what
need
I'm
to be
thinking of.
redone,
Okay.
the roof hatch. It was damaged this last storm. That's the story.
I think we move forward with that
We'll just
myself.
move forward with looking into that and then come back with
I
a
think that's the
modification.
most cost effective, Commissioner.
Well, yeah, and then come back with a modification.
Get your roof and then we gotta get this parking lot out here figured out. We'll keep on moving, going in the right direction that way. All right, board updates. I guess I don't have a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we got a discussion on the bank share coming up. Outside of that, I guess. We got some zoning coming up, but that's about it. What do you got to say, Teresa?
Well, we had negotiations, and as you heard this morning, most of them were very successful negotiations the last week, so
Good job.
we have mediation next Friday, I think with ASME. Is that correct? The 18th,
No,
isn't it?
We have mediation.
Mediation,
oh, mediation, yes. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of arbitration. Sorry.
no, mediation. And so that was a good week, I felt. And we had an extension meeting I had attended via Zoom. And that's always a good meeting. It's very positive. Looking at the farm family of the year, we have 6, I think, that they are recommending to consider. We haven't actually picked it yet, but Eric was in on the interviews for.
Yeah,
we
there's
haven't-
there's no news yet on that
Okay,
for this
And I-
educator position.
How many did they interview?
We interviewed 3.
and I am signed up for the legislative conference on March 2nd and 3rd. So that's about all I had.
I had a Hiawatha Valley meeting yesterday, both the planning and the regular board meeting, to discuss what their future plans are as far as expansion and the things that they're doing in the 9 counties that they serve. And a lot of discussion. The biggest part of it was they have a 20-unit residential building in Winona that experienced a frozen pipe that burst and flooded. So of the 20 units, 18 had to be evacuated to start with. Now they're only going to have 6 left that have to be completely reconstructed. So they're going to have a lot of horsing around with that. I also had a SEMCAC meeting, HRA, with regard to their finances and whatnot. Took your place on that committee. I'm kind of just getting my feet wet on how that works and whatnot. I got a meeting this afternoon at 3 over in Rushford with SEMCAC to talk about HRA and SEMCAC in general. I will get more of an explanation as far as this ARPA stuff. Get a real breakdown as far as that's concerned.
They did send that letter with the breakdown too, so if
Right.
you don't have that, okay, I was gonna say, I can give you that ahead of time.
So you're meeting with Doug?
Yep.
Grout?
Meeting Doug Grout this afternoon. And then got a CJCC meeting this afternoon. Well, at noon. And we had a community services meeting this morning. I'll let Dewey report on that. And then this coming Thursday, I have a SMART meeting. That's the bike trail meeting coming up. Another one that's online. So I've got quite a few meetings coming up myself this time.
Wow.
More than normal.
Mhm.
And that's all I got to add.
Okay, Eric,
just to add on to what Teresa talked about extension at our meeting, we had a presenters from Master Gardeners
Yeah.
came and did a presentation and got some renewed interest in that. So we had a comprehensive land use committee meeting not comprehensive, land use committee meeting this morning. Eric Schmidt told us that Schneider Beacon will be coming to us in March here
Mhm.
to go over a review of what's to come. We got flyover scheduled again for 23.
Mhm.
And so we need to decide what imagery we want to use.
Mhm.
So, 6 inches, 82,500, 9 inches, 48,000. So
Did they say when the flyover was gonna take place?
2023.
in 2023, but hopefully before the leaves come out, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The ones that are on there now are useless for.
Yeah,
I know.
Yes.
yeah, last time it was done in June, it was too late.
Mhm.
It needs to be done in April, March.
Once the
Right.
snow is gone and before the grass is green.
Before the leaves, but
Amelia brought up a few things. Brian talked about the purchases. Mary's gonna be out of the office here for a few days, but she's gonna have her computer with us, so.
That's,
Yeah, for recorder, yep. So that's about it. That's all I got, really.
sounds like some of your applications, zoning applications are gonna be kind of interesting
Coming up.
coming up.
Boy, there's gonna be some real interesting ones.
you don't hear about that at land use.
Yeah, we don't hear much about that.
Our biggest one this morning was Eric and the GIS.
Yep.
and How they're working really well with the new coordinator there, Micah Saturday.
But no, what's the other name? What's the gal's name?
I can't remember.
She's really good, though.
She's very
Yeah,
good. She gets
because
back to them.
she's
right
been on
away.
both ends, so she knows what
Mhm.
what the questions to ask and stuff. They're really happy with her. So.
Yes.
Did he mention about the new equipment that we talked about that's on the ARPA list?
No.
No.
But yeah, you're zoning what you're talking there. The one guy, his driveways are too steep. All the mud's running down onto the gravel roads and making a mess, so. But I'm pretty sure the Board of Adjustment made him go to the townships and get the roads fixed to the townships. So the way the township wants it. And then we can move forward with his permits, but he's gotta get the driveway to meet.
There's a grade specification.
12, I think it was a
12%.
12% slope. Think we didn't even deal with that one other place. So once he gets his driveways intact and the township agrees to it, then I think they're gonna say you can have his permits. He's a little grumpy. And the other one, he's come back with a plan B now. He wants to build a hunting lodge now instead of this Yeltsin or whatever it was. So, but I mean, if you get denied for one permit, then you gotta come back and do a whole nother one. Somebody's trying to get
Thanks
a
for the
hold of us.
phone. I'm just kidding.
Then we got one that's coming up with a medical issue, wants to put a trailer house along. So
That's all been approved, though.
Oh, that one ain't been approved yet.
I thought they got approved.
No, we gotta do that next 24th.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it was gonna be approved, but then they made him go get a medical,
Oh, they tabled it.
yeah, from his doctor to show that he had heart trouble. And I think that's all in line now, so I think that one will probably get approved. I don't see a problem with it. There was a trailer house there. It's my neighbor. He was there one there 25 years ago.
Well, that's all up to those boards.
Those boards, yeah.
Then they bring it to us. So.
We won't hear it. But we have to sign it, I suppose, but that'd be it. Outside of that, I don't have too much on the zoning except get a land use plan going. Working on that the way it sounds. So,
You got, Dewey?
I got just, we had the EDA last week and this coming week. And Houston is gonna have the open house, 10th, 11th, and 12th of Timeless Creations grand opening. Also, just to talk about coming up in March 9th is the career day. So employers who need people to work, if you know of somebody, have them get a hold of Allison, because we're trying to get, I don't know what the numbers as of. Done. So morning's meeting, and when talked with John was indicating a desire or possibility of having maybe a monthly presentation to this board to see what's happening in their department, get us up to speed. You know, because for the last, well, since I joined the board, it's all been pandemic stuff. So maybe he just wants to reiterate or let us know what's going on in other areas other than that. The DAV van has not arrived yet, but we're still waiting on that. I guess it's just like everything else, parts, pieces, chips, or whatever it is. And then possibility of when they do the space assessment, that's been discussed, they may look at some changes. So that's still in the planning, just thinking stage, not even in the planning stage yet. So get some assessment done and see what can work out as we have the availability of the ARPA money. So, about it. I don't know if I missed something, Bob, that we talked about other than that.
Close enough.
Sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't.
Well, thank you for mentioning the Timeless Creations. We're gonna have hopefully have a meeting there next time. It's right on Main Street.
Everything's on Main Street.
Heading west, it's the old, used to be the fitness center. You know, like where the Houston Hoedown grounds are.
Yeah.
That building on the right-hand side when you walk in to go
Used
to.
to be a lumberyard or
Yep.
something.
The lumberyard.
The old lumberyard.
That's where I feel.
Yep, you guys both mentioned that, and that's good, but it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They open at 10 a.m. So,
So 10.
Bring your check.
Our next meeting will be at the highway shop.
Wait a minute. Which meeting?
A workshop. It's gonna be down at, well,
It's a good thing.
You have Zoom capability there.
yep.
For sure. Okay.
Andy said he was gonna have Zoom all set up so you could zoom in at 8:30
Yep.
for the finance committee and then listen in on the workshop.
Okay. Did we ever get our doors?
It's supposed to be in by what, 14?
We're still waiting.
They're not here, but they're supposed to be in by the 14th.
There is, in our meeting we had on Zoom, there is some change orders
Yeah.
coming too, because
forgot
of
to
the
bring that up.
fencing. There were some changes to the fencing budget. So that's gonna be around 27,000, the way it looks. And then there's a couple other things that we're still digging into, so we have nothing to bring forward yet. But
Well, Dick has been working very hard the last week or two on the historic surveying equipment.
that they
To get it
found.
ready for a display case or something like that at the new shop.
At the Historical Society. It's gonna be
No,
at the
they
shop.
have enough.
They don't
of
want it,
They have
so
enough of his
if
stuff.
we can display it at the new shop, that'd be great.
Any public comment at closing?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.